and Lies ones are much different. I'm not getting knocked out my bot.
That made me switch all my stuff from OpenClaw to Hermes. Actually, here's the teaser, the vibe, the memory, the fact that it learns. Also, we're going to build our very own IT Hogwarts-themed troubleshooting wizard. Easy for me to say. It's literally magic. And I also went a bit too deep. I ended up talking to one of the co-founders, Jeffrey Pinell. So you're going to hear from him too. Now, I'm trying so hard to not use the phrase right now because I told you I would chill out on that this year. But this, it's something special. And I don't want you burning toasters on tools that will frustrate you. This one's worth your time. So get your copy ready. It's time to enter our self-improvement league. Self-improvement, what is that? That's number 4. It has to do with the skill system, and it's probably the best reason on this list. But hold on, don't go there yet. You haven't installed it yet, and that's my goal with this video. You're going to walk away with Hermes running, and it's actually pretty easy.
Don't care about installing it. I want to see you do something.
Mine's going to be Ron. That's my IT wizard. By the way, if you're going to watch me walk through for how gateway service should run in the background, if you're going to, I think memory is the reason people switch to Hermes instead. And they may not even realize that's the reason. Because under the hood, Hermes and OpenClaw kind of do memory in the same way, with a few philosophical differences, and they make all the differences in the world. Let me show you by building our IT agent right now. So remember, it's going to be Ron. Now, if I say right now, who are you? It's going to be generic. I'm Hermes. Let's change that. I've got a nice prompt I'm going to seed him with. Here's who you are going to be. Update any file, including your soul, to reflect this going forward. And then here's some massive prompts. Essentially, he's Ron Weasley. He's following in his father's footsteps of falling in love with mobile technology, specifically IT, yada yada yada. It's backstory. You see the description below. Let's see what happens. Now, notice start using a skill. This is actually something I love about it. It shows you the tool use happening. Okay, identity locked. Let's test it. I'm going to do new, start a new session here. We will approve event. And I'll say, who are you? Nailed it. This is going to be fun. Okay, so Hermes edited his soul.md file. Big deal. OpenClaw can do that. We kept that here. It is. Still not anything yet, but hold on. Let's start building him out a bit more. I'll tell him who I am. I'm never checking going Chuck. But also talks to other members of my team when they have issues, blah blah. Let's tell them that. Now watch what happens here. I think it's gonna happen here. I'm doing this live with you. Put it in defensive. Notice we have a memory action here, and it added it to my user file. This file. Let's go over it real quick. We'll CD into our .hermes directory, and then jump into our memories directory. Well, LS there, and there it is. User.md. Let's type that. This file is what Hermes will write about you, what it learns about you, and it curates this on its own. And that's a key part. We're going to cover why it's important here in a moment. But let's keep at it. This is fun. I'll give you some more information. I'll tell them about the network and a few other things. With that information, let's see what happens. So we added more to the user side. Let me tell them more about him.
How you type so goddamn fast?
And there's the other part of the memory. He added to his memory file. Let's go look at that. Alas, there's a new file there, memory.md. It's happening. Notice the memory file is more about the environment, where Ron is running, some technical things. This will also be curated by the agent. Now, those two things, the user.md file and the memory.md file, they're not groundbreaking things. OpenClaw has these two. In fact, when you move from OpenClaw to Hermes, that part of the migration is just taking those files over to Hermes. The difference is how Hermes uses these files. Now, both Hermes and OpenClaw will take these files, and when you start a new session with Hermes, build a new session. The user and memory file will be loaded into these system prompts. So that when you talk to your agent, it always has the most relevant information about you and what you're doing. Both OpenClaw and Hermes do that, but here's what Hermes does that OpenClaw does not do well. You'll feel this. And this is why OpenClaw feels clunky and loaded on day 30 versus Hermes. Actually, Hermes does two things. The first thing it does is it has hard limits on the size of those files. The user file can only be 1,375 characters. The memory file, 2,200 characters. Now, why does this matter? Well, it forces the agent to be very particular about what's going to be loaded into its system prompts. Now, for example, we were just talking with Ron, and he was adding stuff to this memory. And as we keep talking to him and adding more things and talking, that's going to get full. So what happens when it gets full? Well, he has to delete something. He has to curate it, guard what actually needs to go in there, what needs to go in there. And that keeps the agent focused. It forces the agent to distill what is actually important about interacting with you and what you need. And that actually matters a lot. Versus OpenClaw, which does have similar mechanisms, but mostly it's going to end up bloating itself over time if you don't really watch it. This does it by default. It does it without you even thinking about it. And it did it when I didn't even realize it was doing it. I got a story for you on that here in a moment. This is my wow moment with Hermes. The second thing it does is it nudges. By default, every 10 turns, I believe it's every 10 turns, have your Hermes agent fact check me. It will run a background agent to see if anything that we've been talking about should update the memory or user file. Most agent infrastructures, including OpenClaw, only do this when you're about to compact or start a new session. This happens during the session with Hermes. It's more active. This alone made it feel pretty different, and it guards it over time. But then I tried something else. Watch this.
With base 44, a simple sentence becomes your weapon.
This is crazy. I tried this. We'll use the Hermes command line option. We'll do Hermes memory set. Here we can configure the Hermes memory. Right now, by default, we're just using built-in memory and user. It also has a mechanism to search for settings. But then we have these add-ons that do something.
If it's not, we could create it. See, that's the gift we were given to evolve, advance, create. I create my own world.
I create my own world.
Insane. I'm not going to dive too deep on this because I can get some video. In fact, I'm probably going to make a video about it. But I added this thing called Honcho. You can run a Honcho server locally or run it in the cloud. I tried it in the cloud. So here's how this works. And this is crazy. I talked to Hermes. My agent's name is James Power. Every time I send a message, that message is also sent to Honcho. Honcho is a peer service. It's not Hermes, it's kind of a plugin that will start to reason over what I'm saying. And it will start to build out what's called a peer card. Basically, who's Chuck? And it gets to know me. Over time, as more and more messages are sent, it will start to make more conclusions and learn. But that's not the cool part. The cool part is still back to James. With Honcho working in the background, when I send a message to James and his system prompt, he's getting his user.md file, his system.md file. Now keep in mind, these are all very important because when you're talking to whatever model it is, Anthropic, GPT, it's going to start from scratch. It's a blank slate unless you fill it head with something and you start talking to it. So it has to build in stuff to get it. But then also Honcho is configured to go, what does James need to know about Chuck right now? In this moment, what context would be important based on what Chuck just asked? This combo right here, I can verify because I used Hermes for a month with this set. It's kind of crazy. Let me show you what Honcho looks like actually on the cloud. Here's some conclusions in Mundave, like my daily habits, or that Kathy does not like spice. And it builds out this peer card, which I can't show you completely, of my personality, my traits, my preferences. This one, traits, high friction, technical procrastination, gravitates towards school building wiring to avoid high-stakes communication or soul work. Ouch. So I was in Tokyo when I first started using James. I'll get it early before everyone else, walk in neighborhoods, and just have conversations. It's good. I had some breakthroughs. Now, to be fair, Honcho is something you can actually plug into OpenClaw as well, but it's not as good. It's not as much of first class as it is with Hermes. But honestly, Hermes is pretty stinking great even without this addition. All this is kind of scary a little bit because you're relying a lot on the AI model to learn things and self-correct itself. And should we allow it to do that? I asked Jeff about this.
The models are smart, like get out of the way of the models. You know, like they're smart enough if we let them to just figure out what it is that you want to do.
So at this point, we have our IT agent Ron. He knows who he is. He's ready to serve.